within the last 5 years, and I'm a fairly senior artist in this too, between having shown in a restaurant, to Artist Run Center, to a civic gallery, provincial gallery, public galleries, commercial dealers, online exhibitions, publications published in basically book covers of other artists and things, and I could go on, and that's within the last 5 years. So stretch that back over the last 35 or 40 years that I've been doing this stuff, and it's and I feast on that. I don't see myself as a one-trick pony artist by any means, and I really think it's important to look for new audiences, and you always, I think, put great faith in the good judgment of the public to really find their way to your work, and similarly, I wouldn't degrade the expectation for any audience that I would find. Not everyone is going to like or love or let alone like your work, but I think putting it out there in different venues allows people to come to your work, audiences to come to your work, that I think is very important for your own development as an artist.
The business end of it is the connection that I might have with a collector, and that can be indirect or direct, but mostly indirect. And there's many different collectors and many different tastes out there and many different values. So that person who ends up supporting me by buying a work of mine are very important to me, because that's what keeps my practice going. I have to make my activity sustainable, but at the same time I have to maintain my integrity and not subject my work to the market.
Yeah, I mean, as a filmmaker, it's very important to think about who your audience is. Absolutely vital to making a film is thinking about your audience. What do they need to know about this subject, and how do you best relate that from the subject to the audience? Right? It's so important. But I think maybe visual artists don't think that way. Maybe that's something. Maybe there's something there to think about who are you speaking to with this piece of art, and yeah, just how does that play into it? It's so important for filmmakers to think about who your audience is, and maybe visual artists don't do that enough.
Learn how to talk about your work very easily and quickly. Those little elevator talks that people always say, how would you sum up your work in 10 seconds? I know it's not an easy thing to do, but something important to think about, because people will ask you, what do you do? What kind of work do you do? And they're not necessarily looking for a 3-minute answer, or they don't want to hear your artist statement verbatim. They want a quick little line about what you do. And the most important thing is to pretend you're talking to a friend of yours. What would you say to them about what you do? How do you approach your work? For all artists that I know, it's your life that you're putting into your work, and you want to talk about that in a way that other people can approach it, appreciate it, and eventually take your work home with them and include it in their collections.